welcome back to Design Bundles YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Crystal, and today we have another laser hack using our Cricut. So if you guys seen a while back, we did a etching of a tumbler using our Cricut, and today we are going to be doing like a wood burn, if you will, using our Cricut as well. So normally to achieve something like this, you would need a wood burning tool, and you would take your time to burn it all in there by hand, or something like a laser machine like a Glowforge, for example. So today all I've used is my Cricut, and I actually already cut out my stencils. So these designs are already ready to go for you, and what they say is 2022 Christmas is in the tank. They are adorable. Now you can still create this using some vinyl if you want to, but I'm just showing you guys how to achieve a laser look using your Cricut. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is create a stencil. So you're ultimately just going to cut it out with vinyl just like you would apply the vinyl. So use any color that you want to, especially those colors that you know you're not going to use. If you got them in a mystery box and things like that, you can use stencil film if you want. So we're going to make a stencil. I'll weed this out in just a second. You're going to want a wood round. Now if you go to like your local craft store, I'll have some link down below for Amazon, but you can actually purchase these little thin wood rounds that you would normally cut out with a laser machine, and they already have a hole cut in them. So I'll have those down below, or you can run down to your craft store like I did and actually found these. These are just coasters, and it actually even came with this holder here, which you will not need, but these are around $5. I want to say maybe $5.99. They're in the wood section. I found these at Hobby Lobby. So these are the project wood, if you will, over there in the craft section. And I found them where they're half off. So that wood goes like 40 or 50% off, making these around $2.50. What we're going to do is have these, like I said, we've got our stencil. I'm fixing to show you guys some transfer tape. And the most important pieces that you're going to need is this torch paste. Once again, this is also linked down below, so you can get all of your supplies on Amazon honestly, but this is torch paste. So what's really cool is it's like this jelly type substance. It's orange, and what this is going to do is when you apply heat to it, it's going to burn it. So whatever you're working with is going to burn. So you can either use something like a heat press. So right here I've got my Cricut Easy Press, and I actually started this one with my Cricut Easy Press 400 degrees, and I was going around 40 seconds, and it got all the way around the outer edges, but when it came to the middle, I came back in with my heat gun. And so I'm just going to show you the heat gun today. But if you have something like a clamshell, for example, like a craft press like this, or a bigger craft press, swing away, you would be able to accomplish that because you're going to keep that even pressure, and it's not going to buckle on you. So you can definitely use your heat press to accomplish this, and you may have to do it a few times. Do 400 degrees for 40 seconds. If it's not complete, press it again for another 10 seconds, so on and so forth. And then I've got a drill here. So if you have a drill bit, that will be great, but I couldn't find a drill bit, and I thought, you know, this would be a hack for somebody else that may have access to a handheld screwdriver or a screw gun like this, but has a screw. So I'm going to show you guys how to drill a hole in here, so that way we can go in. You can add ribbon, some twine. I think this would also be cute to add a little bow right here on top with some hot glue as well. All right, so I think I've covered all of my supplies. I also do have some squeegees here, because like this right here is kind of stiff. So these ones right here are really cool. They have flexibility to them. And I also got these on Amazon, and it was like an entire bundle. There was like 20 or 30 pieces. It came with different sizes, as well as this little tool here. And they were super cheap. I want to say $10 or less. All right, so we've got that. I've got my parchment. I've got my Cricut heat pad here. So let's go ahead and get going. So I'm going to go ahead and weed this one out to show you. So what we're doing is we are weeding out the pieces we would normally keep. So I'm going to go in there and just quickly grab those out. All right, so now that I have everything weeded out, you should have something that looks like this. So this is a stencil per se. So if you guys are new, you guys are just now getting into using a die cutting machine, you can create stencils just like this. You're just gonna need some transfer tape to pick it up, just as if you would be using it in the opposite direction to apply your vinyl. All right, so let's go ahead and take our transfer tape here. We're gonna go ahead and fly that right on top here. Now, the one thing actually before I get going there, one thing that I did do, because this was square, so if you can avoid, you know that you're avoiding your areas there. I actually put mine on top here, and then I went around just a little bit like this, just to kind of alleviate some of this. and get a better design here. Now you could definitely do that inside of Cricut Design Space. You could actually go in and put a circle the size of this and then put the design in there. And that way, whenever you go to weed this out, you'll actually have a perfect stencil. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here with that transfer tape. We're gonna pick that up. I'm gonna go ahead and get this down here for just a second so I can get my squeegee to rub and pick that up. All right, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and just carefully peel there, and I have this. Now, something that you may wanna do first is go ahead and heat it up and remove any sort of moisture. Honestly, I didn't do it with this one, but this time I'm going to. So I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to pull out any sort of moisture. I'm just quickly going over it for just a few seconds, just to dry it out. I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna do it one more time. All right, so one thing to pay attention to is which way your lines are going. So depending on the way that you want those lines to go, you may want to pay attention and get that absolutely perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and apply this right on top. Take that squeegee again. I'm just gonna go ahead and rub it in. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a corner here and just carefully peel that away. All right. So what you want to do is just kind of go over it and maybe press in any of the areas. Like for example, on my gas tank here, I may want to press in those little bitty pieces like that. Just make sure everything is attached. So next we're going to take some of that torch paste, and a little bit goes a long way. So we're just going to go in there. I'm going to go in with this one this time. Just get a little bit of that torch paste, something about like that. And then we're just going to go over these pieces like this. Now I'm not pushing super hard because I don't want to push it underneath my stencil. So I'm just kind of floating on top of the vinyl, if you will. Now, if you have any exposed areas like this, you're going to want to be careful, because if you get the torch paste, when we go to do that, it's going to burn those edges as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and speed this up and keep on applying. So as you guys could see, I went in both directions. So the first time I went down, I went in this direction, and now I've went in the opposite. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna scrape all of that off. So to make it speed up a little bit quicker, what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna go in with that bigger squeegee, and I'm going to grab all of that and try to accomplish it pretty quickly. So having those bigger ones, the smaller ones are gonna allow you to stay within your areas, and then these bigger ones are going to allow us to clean it a whole lot faster. You could definitely use it the first time just to smear everything around and accomplish it pretty quickly as well. All right, so once you apply your torch paste, you should have something that looks like this now. So at this point, now we're gonna go ahead and use our heat gun. If you are using your heat press, like a bigger Platen, your craft press that has that nice, we're gonna get an even pressure across the board. You wanna do around 385 to 400 degrees and do it in increments so you don't burn it all at one time. So you can do around 40 seconds. If it needs another 5-10 seconds, just keep adding those in there and just figure out what's your sweet spot. So everybody's time and temperature is going to be different depending on your humidity that you have, and like if it's super cold right now, if we were in the winter time, my times and temps may be different from if we were in the summer. So always keep that in mind, that your stuff may not be 100% identical to mine. Now I'm going to be doing the heat gun. So what we actually want to do, and I almost forgot to tell you guys, is to remove our stencil. So before you press it, make sure you remove that stencil. We do not want to press it with the stencil on. So let me be very clear and transparent on that. And you just want to be real careful to remove this. And working with this torch paste, you may want to use a pair of rubber gloves as well. And another thing I do want to recommend is doing this in a well-ventilated area. I did not smell any fumes coming off of this, but you definitely want to be mindful of that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and quickly go in here and peel all of these pieces up. All right, so hopefully you guys can see this. This is what it should look like, something right about there. So now what we're going to do is, at this point, you would cover it with parchment paper if you were using your bigger heat press, Cricut Easy Press, and you would want to press it. Like I said, 400 degrees for around 40 seconds. If you need to add in 5-10 more seconds, you can definitely do so. You just don't want to burn this thing and then you're done with it, right? So let's go ahead and get going here. We're gonna use that heat gun. Mine has a couple different settings, and I'm actually going to start out with low first, and then I'll kind of bump it up on high. Another thing that you don't want to do is be too close. You want to kind of have a little bit of a distance and constantly keep that motion going. Don't just stay in one spot or you will burn that area. Now what you're noticing here is the color is getting darker orange, and then as it's activating, we're starting to get that burnt wood. All right, so you want to let it completely cool back down before handling, but you are going to notice a difference here. This is the one that I did with the heat press here, the Cricut Easy Press. This is the one that I solely did with my heat gun. So I told you I came into the middle parts just to finish it off because mine was wanting to bow a little bit. So I definitely had more success with the heat gun than I did with the heat press. Now let me go ahead and explain why the heat gun is also my favorite. So a few factors. Number one, you can see how the black is just more crisp and clean looking compared to this one. So we've got a lot of blowout from this one here. So this one right here, I also can't see. So I'm going in blind. So as I'm pressing this, I don't know if I'm gonna overburn it. I don't know if I'm underburning it. I don't know what's happening. Whereas if I'm using the heat gun, I can sense and I can see it start to activate. So I can start from the top and work my way down to the bottom or side to side. So that way I can see that change happening and I can work in the more areas that I need to, right? So I really, really love this. I'm gonna bring it up. So once again, make sure it comes to a complete cool down before you guys try to handle it. And you guys can see how this black right here looks a lot better than this brown yellowing, if that makes sense. So I think this one right here looks really, really good. So y'all be the judge. I absolutely love the way the heat gun came out compared to this. I think these are gonna be perfect. This would be a great gift to pass out. Obviously, you're gonna wanna pass it out before Christmas, but it would be a great item to sell online or in a boutique and things like that. So this is one of those items that I highly recommend that you guys make to sell this year. It is going to be super popular and probably sell out for you. Like I said, we have a few different designs like this, a few different ways that it's worded, and I think it's just super cute. So let's go ahead and keep on moving here. Let's go ahead and create that little hole there. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to take my my drill here. This is a battery operated one, but you could definitely get away with a hand one. You're just going to get that nail in there, that screw if you will, and you're just gonna keep working until you get your hole in. If you have a drill bit, you could definitely put your drill bit in and accomplish that really, really fast. But I didn't have one, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys using the screw. So you make sure that we are going in the correct direction and everything should work out nicely. So just figure out about where you want that hole to be. So I think somewhere right about here for me. And so I'm gonna go in nice and slowly, don't get too crazy. We don't wanna break these, especially these, a lot of these pieces of wood are worked together. They're glued together with a few different pieces of wood. So just be nice and slow, easy peasy, don't rush it, or you can break that wood. So I'm just gonna keep going until I work myself through the opposite side. All right, once you make your way through, I'm gonna go ahead and keep on going. Then I'm gonna back it up in reverse. And then we're gonna go ahead and flip it over and we are gonna go ahead and go through. I'm gonna put it back in the right direction. I'm gonna go through the back just to get rid of any little jagged edges on the back from pushing it through. Same thing, reverse it, nice and slow. So you should have a hole like this. Now, depending on the size that you have like this, you could actually make a bigger hole. And I would recommend maybe stepping it up one, but I could definitely, I think this honestly is good. And the way that I did mine was you just wanna make sure with to get your little string through here, you may need to wet the end, or you could put a little piece of tape to kind of feed it through there. You could use a needle. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up here just so you guys can kind of see that there and see our hole. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and cut us down a piece of our twine. And what you can do, if you don't wanna cut this down too early, you can go ahead and start feeding it through beforehand. All right, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pull that through so you guys can see that there. And then I'll figure out my length and things like that. So now I can go in and trim that so that way I'm not wasting too much material. And then we're gonna go through here. We're going to tie it off where we want it, something about like that. And then I can trim off any little extra pieces as well. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys one more time how that looked. I think it came out so cute, and I really do think this is going to be an item that's going to be perfect to sell this year. So once again, if you guys are a business owner, small business, big business, this will be a great item to carry in your shop. So I wanted to show you guys early enough so you guys had time to make this and sell it and advertise it. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button down below and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.